Hi friends, this is Selvijay here. Welcome to my networking channel. Hope all are doing good. And today the topic I am going to discuss about how to configure IPv6 SLAAC in case of Fortigate firewall. So in this architecture I connected to for Fortigate firewall by a physical port 1, and this is the prefix I am going to advertise. So what is SLAAC? So there are two types in DHCP. One is a stateless and a stateful DHCP. So SLAAC is nothing but a stateless auto configuration or a stateless DHCP in which the client will auto-configure its own IPv6 address with the prefix received from the server. So the client will request for an IPv6 address and will send a router solicitation message to the server, and the server in turn will send a router advertisement messages to the client. So this advertisement messages will contain the prefix and that prefix will be advertised to the client. Okay. So the client will auto configure its own IPv6 address because IPv6 address composed of network prefix and the interface ID. So the prefix what it received from the server is the prefix, and then the interface ID is calculated using the 48-bit MAC address. So this is how the client will auto generate its own IPv6 address. Okay. So this is how the IPv6 SLAAC work. And in this architecture, today let us first configure from the server end. Okay. So server end I am going to configure the IPv6 SLAAC. Then we will configure the client end. Okay. So now let us go to the server configuration. So let us log in with the username. So the default name is admin and the password. So now I'm going to configure the IPv6 address. Okay, so I'm going to configure the SLAAC configuration in a server. So let us go to config system interface. Okay, so go to config system interface, edit port 1 because I'm going to configure the IPv6 in port 1. So edit port 1. Now the syntax is config IPv6 address. So config IPv6. Then I'm going to set the IPv6 address. Okay, so set IP6 address 2001:1111:1/64. Okay, first I have to configure the IP6 address. Then we have to configure the prefix. So IP6 allow access. So this is nothing but I'm just allowing the ping permission for this particular IPv6 address. Okay, now I'm going to configure the prefix. So prefix nothing but 2001:111. This is the prefix part. So go just enter configure IP6. So here one more thing we have to configure, set IP6 send advertisement enable. So that is nothing but it will send the router advertisement containing the prefix to the client. In this is the particular prefix. So this prefix will be contained in the router advertisements and that prefix will be advertised to the client. Okay, in the form of router advertisement. So that I'm going to configure now. So configure IP6 prefix. Okay, just click enter, then you add the prefix. So this is the prefix 2001:111. So this prefix will be automatically added /64. Okay, so now it is added. Now just save the configuration. That is show system interface port 1. So what I have done is first I assign an IPv6 address to this particular interface. There's port 1 in this particular same prefix. Then I have added this corresponding prefix, okay, to the particular interface. So now I'm going to configure from the client end. So the client end, there is only one configuration, that is set auto conf enable. That means that will enable the client to auto configure its own IPv6 address with the prefix received from the server. So this is a prefix. Okay, so now let us go to the client configuration and then let us log in. Admin followed by the password. Okay, so now let us configure. Go to config system interface, the same command. Go to the particular port, that is port 1. Now the syntax for configuring IPv6 is config IPv6. Okay, now let us, I'm going to enable only one command, that is set autoconf enable. Okay, so set autoconf enable. Then also let us allow the IPv6 ping address, right? Set allow access. Okay, set IP6 allow access. This is mainly for allowing the ping communication for the IPv6 address. Okay, so just click then end. Save the configuration, show system interface port 1. Okay, so now you can see that, so in this particular port 1 I have not configured any IPv6, just I enable the auto config. So now if I'm doing show system interface port 1, you can see the prefix advertised from the server and it will auto configure its own IPv6 address. Okay, let us go here. Show system interface port 1. You are able to see, right? The first is the prefix and the last is the interface ID. So the interface ID is calculated using the interface MAC address and by appending FFFE between the upper and the lower bytes. So this is how the interface ID is calculated, because IPv6 is composed of two portions. One is first is the network part. This part received from the server, and the last is the interface ID. So it will auto calculate its own interface ID using the 48-bit MAC address, right? So this is how it will calculate. So now let us do a ping. So how to ping the IPv6 address is just do execute ping6 address followed by the this particular IP. Okay, so this IP. So let us do a ping. So I'm able to ping the IPv6 prefix what it receives from the server. Okay, so now let us copy the same command and also let us ping from the server end also. Okay, just click enter. I'm able to ping from the server end, and also let us check the corresponding this address also, server address also. Let us do a ping. So execute ping6 address. So not address, sorry, execute ping6 followed by this particular IP. So now I'm able to ping this particular server IP also, and also let us copy this and issue the same command from the client. Okay, now I'm able to ping. So this is how the client will auto configure its own IPv6 address received from the server. So what are the configuration I did is, first I configure the assigned an IPv6 address to this particular port. Then I added this corresponding prefix. So that is the only thing I have configured from the server end. And from the client end, I issued a command set autoconf enable. So that will enable the client to auto configure its own IPv6 address with the prefix received from the server. Okay, so the two things you have to keep it in mind. The client will send a router solicitation message requesting for a prefix from the server, and the server will send a router advertisement message. So that router advertisement will contain the prefix information. So that's all about this video, and I hope you enjoy this video. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe for more videos. Thanks and have a wonderful day. Thank you.